What's up, guys? It's Simon. So today I'm not gonna show you how to set up an altar because that would just take too long, especially to show all the various ways of doing that. But I will try and guide you into the best way to set up an altar for yourself. So there are a few things you want to think about before you just go doing it. First off, you have to figure out what are you setting it up for. Is it a spiritual altar? Is it a magical altar? Um, is it an altar for your deity? Is it an altar um, for your family? What is the altar for? What is the purpose? Um, you also, with that, you want to know what information do you already have that you can apply to this. Do you feel you have enough information or enough spiritual guidance to go through with making the altar? So, like that, if you say you want to be a Wiccan, for example, you wouldn't just set up an altar randomly before learning anything about Wicca. Same thing if you're wishing to become a Christian or expand upon your Christianity. You wouldn't just set up an altar because you wouldn't even know what deity you're working with. So you want to have some information under your belt before you just go and make the altar. Um, you also want to figure out, can it be permanent? Do you want it to be permanent? Or does it have to be, I don't want to say hidden because I don't want to condone lying. Lying is never good. But sometimes it is in your best interest to keep things private. So that may be something you have to do. Are you living with roommates? Maybe it's not necessarily that they have a problem with you being a witch or being a Catholic or anything like that, but maybe they're just a little too touchy or a little too nosy and looking in on your stuff. So maybe you have to put it in a cabinet, make your altar in a cabinet, or make it in a shoebox, or make it in a trunk, a footlocker, or anything of the sort. Maybe it has to be continually deconstructed, so you would have to put it in a box. Maybe it can be permanent, but it has to be locked away, so you could put it in a cabinet. Or maybe you can make it permanent and just get a little end table or a wooden crate and turn it upside down or on its side and make a little altar. Maybe you want a really big one, so get a coffee table and decorate that. My magic altar is a coffee table. It's a smaller coffee table, but it's a coffee table nonetheless. Um, but my sacred space is just a wooden crate on its side. My man shrine, which I work with for my masculinity, is just a 12 by 12 um, end table shelf. So it has multiple parts to it, and it's pretty tall. I think it's about 2 or 3 feet tall, but it's only 12 by 12 um, on the on each shelf. So you have to figure out those things. You also have to figure out what's your budget. Are you willing to spend anything? Do you have any money to spend? Um, and then you also want to figure out what do you have available, both information-wise, um, uh, intuition-wise, and material-wise. What do you have available in nature that you want to incorporate on your altar? What do you have around the house that you can use? Maybe you don't have to buy a table. Maybe there's a random table in your garage, and with a few new screws and a little hammering here, hammering there, it's sturdy enough to use as an altar table. Maybe you need something that's more mobile, so you could put it on a rolling crate or something of the sort. So you really have to ask yourself these questions. What is it that you're looking for? What is it that you need? What is it that you want in this altar? Um, is it going to be a daily practice? Are you going to go to your altar daily? Or is it going to be something that you go to weekly or monthly? That could help decide how much you're willing to spend, if anything, and also how much time you're willing to put into constructing an altar, because if it's not going to be an everyday thing, then there's really no point in making it all elaborate. If it's going to be an everyday thing, maybe you'd want it to be elaborate. That's another thing you want to ask yourself. How much time do you want to put into this altar? Not just sitting at it and working with it, but also in creating it. So once you have all those questions underway, then it comes into constructing it. So you're going to have to figure out where you're going to put it. So you have to measure out the space and make sure that what you're constructing can fit where you want it to put it. Once you have all of that understood, start slowly gathering your stuff, or if you're able to do it quickly. You gotta work with what's right for you. That's honestly the best altar you'll have. Once you get grounded, that's the best way to construct your altar. Don't go off of what someone tells you unless that's what feels right for you. For example, if you go off of what the Bible says, if you're that type of Christian and you go off of what the Bible says, and that rings true for you, then set up your altar in accordance to that. I don't know if the Bible suggests how to set up an altar or not, but if it does and that rings true for you, then do that. If you're a modern Christian or a progressive Christian, maybe the Bible doesn't ring true to you completely or at all. And so then you'd have to intuitively figure out how to set up your altar. If you're a Wiccan, a traditional Wiccan, then you would be following what the books and teachers and guides would tell you. If you're an eclectic Wiccan, then you may follow that, but also incorporate your own touch upon the altar. If you're like me, a natural bohemian grey witch, then 98% of the time you're following your intuition. So my altar doesn't really follow any tradition, it follows what's right for me. So that's basically my guidance for you. I'm going to link the Lady Gravedancer's video about how to set up a witch's altar, and I'm going to link another video by Tiptoe Chick. She talks about how to set up a Wiccan altar. Those are two really good videos. Hopefully they, if they don't give you exactly what you need, hopefully they inspire you to find the path that's right for you and the direction that's right for you in constructing your own altar. And I hope that this inspired you and helped you in whatever way you needed it to. And as always, thank you for watching, my dear witchlings. Blessed be.